have this session on performance appraisal. I request all dear faculty members present here to participate in the discussions, because I'll not keep it a monologue in which I am talking on this particular topic of performance appraisal. Flow के भी experiences, your experiences also makes a difference. You can share your views also on this performance appraisal. So I have designed the presentation in such a way in which there would be certain one or two quizzes in Mentimeter, but otherwise in different slides we'll be having discussions on this, right? So when we talk about performance appraisal system, what do we understand by performance appraisal system? What do we understand by performance appraisal system?
So it means analyzing the performance after the work is done.
Analyzing the performance after the work
I
is
would say
done.
rather I would say it's not like after the work is done, but the
Mm-hmm.
duration when we are doing the work, that also matters.
Mm.
After a span of time, it should be analyzed and evaluated.
Very right, Indra. So, if I ask you about a brief definition about what is performance appraisal, how would you define that?
Appraising the performance when the work is done in a simple language.
Okay, okay. So let me just share the screen with you, and I'll also share how exactly we'll go about the flow of this entire session on performance appraisal. I hope all of you are able to see the screen.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Narendra, for confirming. And when we talk about this session on performance appraisal, the first part will talk about what is performance appraisal and how does it differ from performance management, because both are different terms. Which thing is a part of which particular part, you'll come to know about that. So the first part is about what is performance appraisal and how does it differ from performance management. What are the challenges and the employees' expectations from performance appraisal? Going further, we'll talk about its benefit for employees as well as for employers, followed by some case studies, performance appraisal process, and how performance can be linked to promotion and career path. And lastly, we'll discuss about how to use the skill set metrics and percentage weightage of three different types of skills. What are these three different types of skills? I'll be sharing it with you towards the end of the session while designing a performance appraisal system. So, as shared by Dr. Bharti, she has given a brief about what is performance appraisal system. So, let me share more details about this. A performance appraisal is basically a periodic assessment of an employee's job performance as measured by the competency expectations set out by the organization. So, whenever we design the performance appraisal, the competencies are first fixed for different levels and bands. So, the performance assessment often includes both the core competencies required by the organization and also the competencies which are specific to the employee's job. Indra ma'am and all other faculty members, my next question is, what is the difference between performance appraisal and performance management?
So to be very honest, I always get confused in performance management. Even I have attended a number of seminars on performance management. Still, I'm very
Uh,
confused about performance management.
okay, मैं आपको short में बताता हूँ.
I,
Performance
I know
management
I
is a
know
bigger
about
term.
I know about performance appraisal and techniques and everything, but when it comes to
Uh,
performance management, now I always get sort of a confusion. I
Right.
don't get it.
So
Please clarify
let me,
it.
yeah, let me share it with you in very brief. Performance management is the entire cycle of this when we talk about analyzing performance of the person, whereas appraisal comes in almost the fourth step. So I'll talk about this once we go to the next slide. But can any one of you, apart from Dr. Indra, as she was saying that she is a bit confused about performance management and appraisal, can share what is difference between performance management and appraisal?
So
Either you
can
can unmute and
so
share, or you can also write it in the chat box, the way you feel.
excuse me, so
Yes, Mr. Garg.
sir, appraisal. What I feel is appraisal is something which is related to an individual evaluation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So every person is not an individual when he or she is working in an organization. So when we are actually managing all the performances, when we are evaluating on the various parameters, on various designations as a team, as an individual, so managing all those things, ensuring that appraisal is being done properly is performance management. An appraisal which we give to an individual is an appraisal.
Okay. So correct me, Ms. Garg, if I am getting it right. You are saying performance management is the entire process, whereas appraisal can be linked to individual, you can say
Yes, sir.
evaluation of their.
Somewhat.
Very right.
I mean, in my terms, what I feel about the both the
Right.
terminology.
Right, ma'am. This is a very good viewpoint you have given regarding this. Any other faculty member would like to share? What do you understand? What is the difference between performance management and appraisal? I request faculty members to please share their views on this. It's the start of the day, so let's have that particular energy. The most difficult time is the time after lunch. I think at this time we can have that particular energy in which you are sharing your views on this particular topic. Dr. Vijay or Dr. Narendra, would you like to add something?
So, good morning. As far the performance management is concerned, I said that it is basically related to attain the organization goals. If something has to
Hmm.
be done to attain the organization goals. As far
Hmm.
performance appraisal is concerned, it is for the individual's evaluation related to his designation, work, whatever his performance has been. So that is related to the individual, and performance management is to attain the organization goals.
Right. So let me share it with you because I think few of the faculty members will take some time to share their views on this going further. So performance management basically talks about defining performance, and it facilitates performance and it encourages performance. Whereas performance appraisal is a part of the entire process of performance management. What it does is it measures performance as shared by Dr. Vijay and Dr. Indra also. And I think one more dear faculty member shared about the same. Ms. Garg also shared about this. She said it is linked to the individual assessment. So it measures performance, it evaluates performance, and feedback on the evaluation is given to each and every individual related to their particular performance. So if we talk about the entire cycle of performance management, somehow it is divided into four steps, and it's a repetitive or constant process of goal setting, communicating it to the employees, observing their particular performance, and evaluating to support, retain, and develop those employees for organization success. So somehow, if we talk about performance appraisal, even though it comes towards the year end, or probably if it is twice in a year, it comes biannually. Evaluation comes biannually. Even if it is in annual terms, it comes towards the end of the financial year. But before going for the evaluation, it is very important to set goals for different departments, and going cascading it down to different goals should be set to the individual goals should also be set, and it should be communicated well on time. Then over a period of time, let's say every quarter, it should be observed how well they are doing in terms of their individual goals, where they are standing, and what are the gaps. And lastly, evaluating in might be it might be like we are evaluating it in quarterly basis, but the appraisal cycle depends upon how the organization is setting it, whether it is biannually or annually they want this performance appraisal cycle. Now, here comes two questions to you on Mentimeter. So I'm stopping the sharing of this particular screen. And when we talk about performance appraisal system, I hope you understand there would be certain challenges also when we talk about this performance appraisal system. So I'm throwing two questions to you on Mentimeter, and you need questions there. First is about the challenges that we face in performance appraisal system. and second is about what employees expect from performance management system. So let me share the link for Mentimeter so that you can go to that particular link and answer these questions there. So here comes the link on your in your chat box, and you need to answer these two questions. In the meanwhile, I'm just presenting that screen of Mentimeter so that you are able to see your answers on the screen also. So the first question is share some of the challenges in performance appraisal process. I request all dear faculty members to please answer the first question, which asks about sharing some of the challenges in performance appraisal process. Very good to see. First answer, annual appraisal system is losing relevance in the new world order. Very right. Quarterly feedback process needs to be institutionalized. Very right, sir. Challenges process has not changed with the times. Right. This is one of the challenge. Can we have more challenges on the screen? Deciding the parameters for evaluation, lack of two-way communication once in a year review. Very right, because we set the targets but a lot of time it is not being communicated to the employees. Then we have fourth statement which says without clear and consistent evaluation criteria, managers may evaluate employees differently, leading to inconsistent results and perceptions of unfairness. Another viewpoint, employees exact task allocation and performance is done. Maybe timely feedback could be a problem. Very right. Because till the time an employee is not aware of the feedback where he or she is standing, they'll not be able to work on their developmental plans. Can we have more answers for this question? Predefined parameters may not be informed priorly. Okay. Predefined parameters may not be informed priorly. Okay. We'll talk on this. Predefined parameters may not be informed priorly because I am not able to get this particular viewpoint in a proper way. So, the faculty member who has answered this question, I'll request them once we have all the answers on the screen. I'll request that faculty member to please explain this particular point. In the meanwhile, let's have some more answers on this question. Can we have some more answers? We have received till now 7 responses. So let's have at least 10 responses and then we'll move to the next question. Performance appraisal can be influenced by biases, which may be one of the challenge felt by employee. Very right. When you don't have a clearly defined performance appraisal system, biases are supposed to come into that particular system. Two more responses and then we'll move to the next question. Can we have more responses on this? Some employees may be resistant to the performance appraisal process either because they don't trust the process or because they fear. Very right. And let's have one last response and then we'll move to the next question. We are having some answers in chat box also, like Dr. Narendra has written rewarding and motivating effective performance. Kavita ma'am has written lack of leadership commitment can be one of the challenges, and not focused on development can be another, which has been shared by Miss Vijeta Sharma. So let's have one more answer in the Mentimeter and we'll move to. We have 12 answers now, so sufficient responses we have received on this, and we are moving to our next question, which talks about what employees expect from performance appraisal system. I'm sorry, the spelling of appraisal is not right here. A is missing. So what employees expect from performance appraisal system? And obviously the challenges which are there, the opposite of that would be the expectations of employees from performance appraisal system. So still let's have some answers on the screen on Mentimeter. Okay, we have received one response by Ms. Nidhi in the chat box. She says monetary benefits and promotion, and Ms. Pooja says there should be a two-way communication, and Mr. Gautam shares objectivity and fairness, and Ms. Vijeta says acknowledgement. So let's have some answers on Mentimeter also. What employees expect from performance appraisal system? I think most of our dear faculty members are interested in writing in chat box. Dr. Sandhya shares, see all the parameters and fairness should be there. Mr. Akhtar says financial benefits, perks, unbiased appraisal should be placed. And Mr. Tejinder states that satisfaction in monetary terms and acknowledgement for being always motivated are some of the expectations from performance appraisal system. I think no one is interested in. Okay, we have one answer in Mentimeter and two responses we have received. Three. So the first response says employee wants to have a fair and open evaluation, better increments, and wants to equality. And I think Mr. Akhtar has shared in Mentimeter also financial benefits, perks, unbiased appraisal. And third response is if an employee is not meeting performance expectations, they expect their manager to provide them with a plan to improve their performance. Very right. So they expect their manager to work with the team to set their goals. sufficient answers we have received
So
related to
my
these two
my
questions.
opinion is
Yeah.
different into this thing.
Okay.
What
Yes,
I
Dr.
feel,
Indra.
what I feel is there are two type of people. Few people
Uh-huh.
in reward, few people in award. So
Uh,
when you are on the top level of the top hierarchy of the Maslow need, you would be more attracted towards the awards.
hmm.
When we are on the bottom level of the hierarchy, we would be more attracted for the rewards.
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 Right.
And there are few people who are hungry for both awards and rewards at the same time.
So, right. For this, I would say every person is having their own nature. So, obviously, I do understand what you are sharing through Maslow's hierarchy theory also. But every individual's nature is different. So, we can't
Huh.
expect the same things from a different level of people, right? And
Yes.
the best way is acceptance. We can't change anybody, but the best
Yes.
ways we can change ourselves, right?
But yes,
These things you
we
already know
expect.
about it.
There are
Yeah.
no any person in this world who doesn't expect anything. They would be
Hmm.
expecting any of the thing, na? Uh,
Yeah.
but yes, they say that we are not hungry for the awards, but still they are having that craving of getting awards and positions after appraising their performance, no? So
Right.
fine, but it is a two-way. Employees are expecting something, and employers are not expecting or they're not fulfilling their expectations.
Right.
It's
I do understand, and I think for this we have to request Dhamija sir to have another session, but which should not be related to performance appraisal. But you are right on this. But I do agree with this. So
yes, yes,
we need to have a separate session in which there should be a aligning of those, you can say, uh, people who, what they are saying and what is inside of them, right? So
yes,
this proportion is there in everybody, but in some people it is you can find a lot
yes.
of difference. In certain people, you'll find a very little difference in that particular part. So
Hmm.
you'll find a mixture of people, and I think Dr. Indra, there is no need to share these things because आप लोगों को भी ये चीजें पता है. You are all aware of these particular things, right?
Yes,
So let's come back to this, and I'll stop presenting the Mentimeter screen because we have received sufficient responses. And the purpose of this Mentimeter quiz was to see how much you know about this particular thing, and I wanted you all to get involved in this particular session on performance appraisal. So this was the purpose of having this quiz on Mentimeter also. And now let me take you through what are the challenges in performance appraisal system and what employees are expecting out of this performance appraisal system. So let me share the screen with you. All of you have a fair idea about these challenges and the expectations. So I hope all of you are able to see the screen now. I hope all of you are able to see the screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for confirming. In terms of challenges, performance ratings are often perceived as unfair because of the problems related to one is outcome. That means evaluation, whether the evaluation is consistent with the expectations or not. Second, in terms of interpersonal, that is through timely, honest feedback. And third is through procedural. So whether we have a consistent process with criteria that are highly relevant to work. Second is we find a limited collaboration between the manager and employees around goal and standard setting. So, as answered by a lot of faculty members, there is some communication gap also when the target has to be conveyed to the employees. So, limited collaboration is there between the manager and employees around goal and standard setting, performance feedback, and final evaluation contributes to perceived unfairness and less reliable and valid ratings of performance. Lack of clarity around expectations is there. Example, how to align individual and team behavior and goals with organizational requirements, which leads to sub-optional employee satisfaction and performance. Then critical work priorities sometimes leave little or no time for ongoing feedback. And the last is the process and administrative requirements for implementing performance management are sometimes too complicated. So that also becomes a challenge when we talk about implementing those performance appraisal system. In terms of what are expectations of the employees from this performance management process, again, a lot of you have shared the very right answer about this. They want clear expectations. Positive constructive feedback should be given on a regular basis, and I think one of our dear faculty members answered about this also, like there should be quarterly review or probably monthly review, even though if the appraisal is happening bi-annually or annually also, but there should be a regular feedback. Involvement in goal setting should be there, and the people should, or the employee should be treated fairly and consistently. Sharing on information and resources should also be in place, and job or career enrichment opportunities should be there. Or in short terms, a career path should be known to the person whosoever is performing good, like what should be the next level they'll be achieving, what should be the next, let's say, designation they'll be going to once they perform good. So those parameters should be placed clearly there. So when we talk about performance appraisal, it basically goes into three different parts. First is about the developmental part, which is improving performance of the individual and what are the career development opportunities. Second, in terms of if the person has done well and has been appraised well, what are the salary decisions related to that individual? What would be the next promotion and how it will help in retention of that particular person? And in terms of strategic part, the performance appraisal system should be aligned with the, you can say, organization goals, and organizations will get what they reward if the performance appraisal systems are right in the place. Now let's have two case studies on performance appraisal. Or before that, let's talk about what are some of the benefits to employees. I am not asking you these questions here because somehow we have covered these things in the quiz questions on Mentimeter. So some of the benefits to employees of performance appraisal system would be sense of accomplishment, strengths and areas of improvement would be there. Take responsibility and create mutual understanding of job duties. These are some of the benefits to employees. In terms of benefits to employers, it will improve employee relations and productivity. It acts as an effective retention tool, and it addresses performance or disciplinary problems. And organizations' commitment to employee success and valuable feedback for managers are some of the benefits for employers. I'm going a bit fast on these slides because towards the end we'll spend some time on the skill set metrics and how we can design a performance appraisal system. In short, we'll be talking about this towards the end. Now let's take those two case studies on the developmental part and the administrative part. So that means one or two questions would be related to the performance appraisal developmental part, and that one question would be related to the promotion part. So the first question on the screen is, you are asked to rewrite an appraisal form by your director to ensure the named employee is given a higher appraisal score and more favorable review. What do you do? Now, if you see the question, this is not a straightaway question that has been thrown to you, but you have been asked to do an appraisal which is against the ethics, right? So, how would you go as per the ethics or as per the process in solving this particular case study? I hope the case study is visible on the screen, or it's a small window which is shown on the screen.
So the question is visible, sir.
Okay, it's visible. So this question is not a direct question. I hope you understand. You have been asked by the director to rewrite an appraisal to ensure that the named employee is given a higher appraisal score and more favorable review. What do you do? To give you a hint, to give you a hint, if you have a laid down process for performance appraisal, you will be able to solve this particular case study. Yes, can we have some answer here on this case study? How will you solve such a case? Nidhi ma'am, would you like to add? Dr. Narinder?
So Nidhi over here. So if I have
Yes,
given a
ma'am.
chance to sit, so I will prefer to go for 360-degree format to get the positive and negative view of the then accordingly I will take a decision, sir, to name the employee.
Right, ma'am. Right.
So that it can be unbiased from my side.
Very right, ma'am. So internal as well as external
Yes,
parties in
sir.
evaluating the performance of the business, right? This is one perspective. Let's have some other answers also. Thank you so much, Nidhi ma'am. Dr. Vijay shares, we have to frame some parameters based on what evaluation have to be done. Very right, Vijay sir.
So this is Dr. Narendra here. We will also think over the parameters and evaluate accordingly so that there should be no biasment with anyone. So it should has to be thoroughly given the vision for these things, sir, again.
Right, sir. Can we have some more answers on the case study, or do you want me to proceed from here?
Here, Dr. Hussain, here I want
Yes.
to add more. The main important thing is for the appraiser who is writing the appraisal for any employment, he should not be biased. It is a very important. And another thing is that mostly he should be focused on the positivity. He should take all things that are the positive, and there should be given the negative mark if there are some rare, but mostly should be the positive, and also not biased in evaluating of the appraisal of employees.
Right. Thank you, Hussein sir. Okay, let me take it forward. We'll have some more answers in the other two case studies from our dear faculty members. So another perspective or another solution can be provide your director with documentary evidence which justifies the appraisal scores and feedback provided based on monthly meetings with the reporting manager. So once we are having those monthly reviews with the reporting manager, and I do remember one of the faculty members shared about this, that regular reviews are very important. If we have those things in place, this is one thing which will help us or help the you can say reviewer to do the appraisals in the right or ethical way. Second is explain the knock-on effect the employee's poor performance has on other staff members. Suppose if the performance has to be done because the director has asked to do that particular thing, and if the employee is not performing well in his or her particular area, we need to inform the director what would be the poor effect it will have on other employees if we do the appraisal of this person. And if the director still insists that it must be altered, try to get him or her to compromise on that particular extent to which it must be changed so that the overall message is not lost, rather softened. That means we should not go for a higher appraisal score, but based on these particular documentary evidences or knock-on effect, we should be able to bring the director or we should be able to convince the director on this particular extent that we should give the appraisal to the person, but not at that particular higher appraisal score, but to a score which can be well accepted by others. So, in other words, if you all understand and if you have seen appraisal system in your institutions also, there is some you can say a flat percentage of, you can say, appraisal which is being given to the employees regardless of their performance, whether it is good or bad, if they have not done well in that particular term, right? Otherwise, all other employees who have done well, so there is a percentage which has been fixed by the organization or institution on which they are appraised in terms of their increments. So flat percentage can be one of the options which can be given to that particular employee, for which the director was insisting to give a higher appraisal score. So here comes the next case study on, again, the developmental part of the performance appraisal. You are told to fake appraisal documents to help someone get promoted. What do you do to solve such a case? One option would have been, I would have thrown simple, straightforward questions to you, but I am throwing unethical questions to you, because if you are confronted with such kind of problems, what would be your solution? And again and again, I'm insisting, if you have a laid down process, that is the solution for these kind of problems which I'm asking you on this particular screen. So you are told to fake appraisal documents to help someone get promoted. How will you solve such a case? Thank you so much, Ms. Garg and Ms. Puri, for adding a few more answers to the last case study. Now, the next question is, you are told to fake appraisal documents to help someone get promoted. How will you resolve such kind of case? Okay, let me give you the answer. So you need to introduce stringent procedures which requires documents to be approved by a number of different stakeholders. So if you all understand, when we talk about performance appraisal, sometimes sometimes means, yeah, when we talk about a performance appraisal, it sometimes it only talks about appraisal by a reporting manager also only, but in certain cases it talks about skip level also. So if you have two or three stakeholders in place who will be basically means who will be basically evaluating the performance of the individual, you'll be having stringent procedures which there are chances of minimum bias. So introduce stringent procedures which require documents to be approved by number of different stakeholders, so that documents cannot be altered without questions being asked. Because if somebody does a favor also, if there are many number of stakeholders in evaluating the performance of that particular person, there are very less chances that fake appraisal documents will be passed for the appraisal. Now, my last question related to the case study on the administrative or promotion part. You have been asked to promote someone without putting them through due process. How will you resolve such a case? You have been asked to promote someone without putting them through due process. What do you do in such a case? Yes, can we have some answers in the chat box, or somebody can unmute and share what would be the solution of this case study on promotion? Amit G says, which is not recognized. Yes, can we have some answers here?
So
Yes, ma'am.
we can always tell the policies of organization do not allow such practices. And
Mhm.
still, if there is some insistence, like if some higher person is talking about no, no, you have to do, in that case, we can always tell ki as you wish. I mean, you have to do it. Maybe you can give the transfer along with the promotion if you wish to.
Right.
So something like that.
Okay. Thank you,
So
Arkaja,
if
ma'am. Yeah.
Sir Nidhi here, so
Yes,
if
Nidhi, ma'am.
something, if I have to promote, if I'm been asked to promote someone out of the way, so first,
Hmm.
as an individual, I have to justify what he or she have extraordinary done for or benefit for the organization. That's why he or she deserves it. So
Hmm.
that if somebody, some other the way, they raise the point that if I, then we should have substantial proof evidence that the
Hmm.
management have given out of the way the promotions or the appraisal to the concerned person. So
Hmm.
that has that evidence we have to. Yes, I agree
Right.
there are policies, but
Hmm.
sometimes for better performance to retain the best employee, sometimes these efforts or steps are also taken.
Right. So very good two answers we had. Nidhi ma'am shared. We should have a evidence why that person should be promoted or not promoted. And second shared by Arkaja ma'am, she said policies also plays a major role in that. So Bashar sir says past records of employee and authentic evidence can be another way of means checking whether that person should be promoted or not. And Ms. Pooja says it is against the policies of the organization. We do understand it is against the policies of the organization, but Pooja ma'am, we need a solution for this, right? So good to see answers flowing in from dear faculty members. And Amit sir has written maybe at personal level he or she has achieved, which should be recognized by the company. I think this was related to some other case study. And so Veerapan says the person should be bold. So I hope Veerapan sir, you mean to convey the person should be bold to talk about the facts whether that person should be promoted or not promoted based on the facts, right? So fairly good answers from your faculty members, and let me show you the answer from my side. And if you do remember, we were talking about stakeholders in the previous case study. So similarly, if we take this case study also, the first is this kind of promotion is easy to do when the promotion is based on tenure rather than merit. Now comes the second part in which a lot of dear faculty members has spoken about the facts. So introduce a transparent and clear step-by-step meritocratic promotion process where all candidates have to be formally reviewed and discussed by a committee. So if you remember about stakeholders in the previous case study also, here again it should be formally reviewed and discussed by a committee before promoting that particular person. So this should make it much harder for someone to be promoted without being approved by the committee. Because if there are three or four members in the committee, till the time all of them don't agree on this decision, that person can't be promoted, even though if it is coming from higher officials in that particular institution also. And if strict and clear procedures are put in place, it should be very difficult to promote someone without due process, as this would require the forging of documents, which should be a serious disciplinary offense. So, if the leadership has put in strict and clearly procedures, they themselves will get stuck to that particular part if they promote a person in spite of these strict and clear procedures. So, there would be a questioning on them how this person has been promoted. So these are some of the solutions for in case of promoting someone without being putting them through due process. This is some of the solutions that we can follow. Now let's go to the next part of this particular session, which talks about performance, how it should be laid down. Performance appraisal process, how it should be laid.
Hitesh sir, hello. Hello. हितेश सर आपकी आवाज़ नहीं आ रही है.
Yeah, I think there was some network problem at my end. So I was saying, I was asking you a lot many questions related to this. So I'll take it further from here when we talk about performance appraisal process, how it should be laid down. So if you see on the screen, there should be basically, if we talk about laying down the performance appraisal process, if you see the pre-appraisal time, it should be completed by February, March of end of every year. I mean to say, let's suppose if you have to lay down the process for 2023-2024 by February March 2023, we should be able to set the key performance targets for the individuals. Validation should be there and sign off should be there from the reporting manager as well as for the person for which we are setting these particular targets. So in these 2 months, like February and March 2023, we should be able to set the targets for the entire year, financial year of 2023-2024. That means starting from April 2023 to March 2024. So once this is being done, there should be a quarterly review, which should be done at the end of every quarter, which includes review of performance on quarterly basis, communicate the gaps, and suggest corrective actions to the individuals. Then it depends whether you have an annual appraisal cycle or biannual appraisal cycle. So if it is an annual appraisal cycle, obviously it should be done in March or April of every year. Performance appraisal process, but this is one of the uh, timelines that I have shared. So self rating should be there. Reporting manager should be talking about 360-degree appraisal here. It's more of, you can say, 180-degree appraisal when we are talking about this performance management appraisal process.
Gulati sahab, your voice is breaking actually.
It depends upon you whether you want to go for 180-degree or you April of the consecutive year, and sought training recommendation also, because based on
I think he's rejoining so that his voice is okay. The speaker is rejoining. Just wait for a few seconds, please. I hope all the participants have done their tasks, task number 1 and task number 2. So in that case, you can submit your task, please. Maybe by today end. After this session of Mr. Gulati, we have two very wonderful sessions by Anuradha Chawla. She is again a very good speaker. Okay, Gulati is back. Gulati, you are muted.
I'm really sorry for this network problem. If you can just give me a minute, I'm changing my network connection
Yes,
also,
yes. No problem.
because I think my Wi-Fi is giving a lot of problems. So maybe I'll shift to hotspot.
Okay, no problems.
Just give me a minute. Now, and hopefully this will not give any problem for next half an hour. Sorry for this network problem, and let me take you
सर आई
to.
रिक्वेस्ट कि अगर हम कैमरा बंद कर सकते हैं बिकॉज बीच बीच में आपकी आवाज चली जाती है सर.
Okay, मैं वो कर लेता हूँ. I'll just
हाँ
do
जी
that.
सर, तो उससे बैंडविड्थ सेव होगा सर.
I'll do it. Right, I have done. मैंने कैमरा ऑफ कर दिया है. So this is one of the ratings that I have shown you on the screen. And this increment percentages can vary depending upon how organization plans to give the increments to their employees based on these ratings. So this overall rating and increment is purely subjective to how the institution or the organization plans to give their increments to the employees working with them, right? So this is one of the scales that has been shown on the screen. And if we talk about how it should be, basically the promotion should be given going further. So I am showing you another slide which talks about the minimum duration some person should spend in one particular level or band. Now I'll explain about these S1, S2, E1, E2, and other particular levels also, which is shown here. So this is regarding some of the levels in that we defined for few organizations in the past. Band S generally have those people who are in the support staff, and Band E are basically those people who are graduates or postgraduates and have started their career. Band M generally have those people who are from team lead to, let's say, senior manager level, and L1 is about more about, if we talk about education industry, people who are associate professor or above, they are basically placed in band L. And in terms of non-teaching positions, people who reach to a level of, let's say, AGM and above, they are placed in band L, or let's say chief manager and above, they are placed in band L. I'll show you this band metrics also, which will give you a clear idea about how these different bands and levels can be defined, and how different designations can be placed into this. So if we have to fix up a promotion criteria, the promotion criteria should be based on tenure, performance standard, and skill set desired for the band. So somebody who is promoted from S1 to S2 should at least meet the criteria of rating band of 4, the one we showed in the last slide also, how different rating bands can be linked to the increments. So if somebody who is in support staff and who achieves a rating band of 4, and in the first 6 months, that person can be promoted to S2. From S2 to E1, that means that the person should at least have a rating band of 4 and should have spent at least 1 year with the organization. Similarly, if you see, going above, when we go to graduates and postgraduates, if the person has a rating band of 4 and at least spent 12 months after completing their graduation or post graduation with the organization with a rating band of 4, that person should be promoted to E2 level. And ET to M1, someone who has two consecutive rating band of 4 or at least have spent 36 months, or you can say 3 years, plus if there is a role or position availability higher in the level, then that person should be promoted to M1. So if you see on the screen, going further in band M and L, the duration is increasing. And I hope you understand, higher you go in the ladder, the number of positions in the top will narrow down. So that is the reason the band, you can say the rating band expectations as well as the duration, that is increased in band M and band L. So I'll be sharing this PPT with Dhamija sir also, so that once you go through this particular slide, you'll be able to understand how this duration is related, duration and rating band is related to promotion in your particular career path. So again, talking about these different levels, if I go to the next slide, you'll be able to understand. So band has certain designations like computer operator, supervisor, electrician, peon, office boy, security guard and support staff, that can be placed in band S. Going to band E, assistants, senior executive or senior counselor. I have made a mixture of government as well as private institutions. So that is the reason some designations are a mixture of government and private institutions. So lab in charge, officer, librarian, executive trainee, or let's say counselor, workshop instructor, engineer or system network administrator, or deputy or assistant librarian can be placed in band E. Whereas band M would be having positions like hostel warden, faculty can be visiting faculty, or it can be adjunct faculty. Then we have deputy or assistant manager, assistant professor, senior manager, manager, that can be placed in band M. And going to the leadership level, associate professors and above levels can be placed in band L. And if you see the band D is basically a band of promoters, board of directors, and outside consultants or advisors, facilitators are placed in band D. So these are some of the, you can say, ways where you can show a career path to people who are joining the organization, that what would be next if they perform well in their particular, uh, you can say, performances. Now, before we go to what are the goals of performance appraisal, which is the last slide, I'll show you the band and skill set metrics, how we can set that. And before that, I just wanted to know, when we are setting a performance appraisal system, or when we are making a performance appraisal system for our particular organization, right? What are the skills that should be placed in that performance appraisal system? Pooja ma'am, I'll come to you. I think you have raised your hand. You have a question. But before that, I want to ask you a question, all of you present here. What are the skills that should be placed in performance appraisal system on the basis of which the person should be evaluated? Yes, can we have some answers?
Yeah, hello, good morning. My name is Professor Gautam.
Yes, Gautam sir.
So, so if we have to evaluate it very objectively, then it's important that for an individual, we are very clear on what was the job description and in terms of KPIs or KRAs at the beginning of the year. So,
Right.
one, if the objectives have been set in the beginning of the financial year, and depending whether it's a quarterly or an annual appraisal session, so that needs to have a lot of clarity, and that needs to have complete buy-in from the employee also with the immediate supervisor.
Right.
Because generally what has happened is, what happens really is that in most of the cases we have seen in the Indian context that there is always a disconnect, as people also said earlier, in terms
Hmm.
of expectations and what they are getting, and those arguments are never constructive. It becomes an attack and a defense mechanism in majority of cases.
Very right.
So to avoid that and to bring a greater level of objectivity, I think it's very important that as an employee I am absolutely clear as to what are my deliverables.
Hmm. Hmm. Very right. There is no clarity between the manager and the employee also on what basis they are going to evaluate, and that is the reason. In maximum of the cases, there is a biasness in terms of appraising an employee because it's more based on the gut feeling of the manager.
Absolutely. Secondly, I think that this system of bell curve, which has probably been used in the Indian context for the last 30-40 years, I think organizations, MNCs are now completely doing away with it, because I think that is completely history now.
Hmm. Hmm.
A lot of things which actually needs changing.
True. So thank you so much, Gautam sir, for
Thank you,
putting
sir.
in your viewpoints. Can we have some more answers? How you should design a performance appraisal system? One thing Gautam sir has shared very rightly: the KPTs, or let's say, what are the expectations of managers from their subordinates or their teammates, that should be clearly conveyed in the starting of the appraisal cycle. Can we have some more answers? I'll go back to Pooja ma'am. Pooja ma'am, you have raised your hand. So do you have any question here? Pooja ma'am, do you have any question, or should I go ahead from here? Yeah, I think there is no response from Pooja ma'am. Might be accidentally she has pressed on raise your hand. And okay, thank you Pooja ma'am for confirming. And let me share about, when we talk about making the performance appraisal system. If you see on the screen, I'm showing you an Excel sheet. This is one of the things we also do with our particular clients. I am basically a change management consultant, as Ramija sir shared about my profile in the starting. So we can appraise an employee, or we can, while designing a performance appraisal system, it should be divided in three parts. First particular skill should talk about their KPTs, or you can say the functional skills part. Second, the behavioral skills part, and third is cultural fitment skills. Any idea what is cultural fitment skills? Because till now, when we talked about performance appraisal, it was more about functional and behavioral skills. What is this cultural fitment skills? Can anyone answer what is cultural fitment?
So,
Yes.
from my perspective, it is basically the culture and the environment of the organization. It's like, besides behavior, besides everything, it is very important that the employee should be absorbed with the culture, and he should be compatible with the entire culture and the way the organization flows and the expectations of the organization. So that's
Right.
the culture fitment skills. Many a times it happens that for example, if somebody is going for MNC job, so if there is a huge cultural difference, in that case he or she would be a lot of inferiority complex while performing at such a big platform.
So, adding to what Ms. Garg has shared, cultural fitment is basically, what it does is, it's a likelihood that a job candidate will be able to confirm, or you can say adapt to the core values of the organization and collective behaviors that make up an organization. Like, let's suppose if we talk about any particular IT organization, for them agility would be one of the values, right? So there are certain values which can be laid down for every organization. So every organization would be having a different set of core values, and those core values and collective behaviors that make up the organization can be uh, basically into uh, structured into the cultural fitment skills. And I'll stop the screen sharing here, and I'll show you an example of that when we talk about cultural fitment skills. I'm showing you an Excel sheet which is talking about skill set metrics band wise, right? So I'll just present that screen, and that will give you an idea about what is cultural fitment skill, or what are the skills that we can place in behavioral skills as well as cultural fitment. Because in terms of functional skills, you have to sit with your reporting manager in order to define those KPTs, key performance targets. So if you could see on the screen, I'll just zoom the screen, and I hope all of you are able to see the screen. I hope all of you are able to see the screen which talks about skill set metrics bandwise.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you see on the screen, on the left hand side, we have divided these skills into four different competencies. First, the skills are divided into people, then process, then change management, and business acumen. And based on different bands, if you see band S, E, M, and L, whatsoever behavioral skills we are starting from, whether it is in band S, people competencies or process competencies, going further in band E, M, and L, those skills are becoming progressive. Like, let's take an example. Somebody who joins the organization in band S, when we talk about their people skills, if you see the first skill, that person is more into learning and self development. When that person goes into band E, that skill will be progressed, and that person would be more into learning and exploring. Whereas going further in band M, that person will be going more into the coaching part, and band L, it would be coaching and mentoring. Similarly, if we take uh, the other skill in change management, if you see adaptability, the skills which are highlighted in red, these are basically cultural fitment skills. Because if any organization talks about adaptability, these are certain core values that organization is following, right? So adaptability in band S, again going further, it is adaptability in band D, but band M is about flexibility. And I hope you understand the difference between adaptability and flexibility. Adaptability means I have a willingness to change, right? Whereas flexibility is I adopt, or I have those competencies in which I am able to bring in that change. So if you see in band M and L going further, those adaptability skills have progressed and they have got converted into flexibility. So again, I'll be sharing the skill set metrics with the Mija sir, because I do understand 1.5 hour is too less when we talk about this particular topic of performance appraisal system also. So this entire sheet talks about how we can lay down the skill set metrics. You can say progressive skill set metrics related to these four competencies, going from band S to band L. Now, coming back to the weightage of ratings, when we are placing weightage of ratings in these four different bands, I'll show the screen once again, which talks about the weightage of ratings. So that will give you a fair idea how we can give the weightage of ratings in different bands, whether it is band S, C, M, and L. So let me share that screen with you. Here comes the weightage of ratings on the screen. So when we are talking about band S and D, if you could see on the screen, 75% weightage has been given to the functional skills part, whereas 15% to behavioral skills and 10% to cultural fitness skills. Whereas we see band ML, that means people who have become process managers and above, we see 60% rating in the functional skills part, whereas more weightage has been given to uh, the cultural fitment skills part, because these are leaders are those people, whatever culture they'll set, that will cascade down to band S and D. So that is the reason 60% weightage has been given to the functional skills, because they are more into planning and monitoring of things, whereas people in band S and D, They are more into execution of those things. So that was the reason 75% weightage was given to the KPTs or the functional skills in case of SMB. Whereas in terms of cultural fitment, it is 25% for band M&L because they set the culture in the organization, and 10% for cultural fitment skills for band SME. So this is one way we can design the performance appraisal system with the weightage for different bands. So these two sheets again with the presentation I'll be sharing with Dhamija sir. Now going to the last part, which is talking about what are the goals of performance appraisal. Let me share it with you. But before that, I want to ask you what, according to you, should be the goals of performance appraisal system. Yes, can we have some answers? What should be the ultimate goal of performance appraisal system in any particular institution? Can we have some answers here? What should be the ultimate goal of performance appraisal system in any institution or organization?
Participants, please respond to the speaker. Dr. Indira, Dr. Nidhi, Dr. Narendra, please respond.
So to provide the feedback to the employees
Hmm.
and what are the expectations of the management or organization from the employees,
Right.
and in near future on the basis of performance appraisal their enrichment of job or job rotation can be done.
Hmm.
So basically it helps to identify the gaps between the
True.
what are the KRAs set and how much that employees have achieved.
Right. So that
So,
basically becomes a feeder for the developmental plans or the training calendar for the organization for next, you can say, quarter or probably an year.
yes. So even beforehand, the employees can make aware of what are the gray areas they have, and they can, and what are the plus points the employees have, and accordingly they can work on it.
Very right, Nidhi.
So it's
I
both ways, employee and employer, both sides.
Yes.
I
Yes. So,
think
same,
I
sir, you
think
also wanted to add. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think it is the better for to have the good reputation and have the conversation with the employee and the employer, because by the appraisal the employee could understand what is looking of the organization, and he could mold according the goals and need and the requirement of the skills of the organization. So appraisal is not only the personal advantage for the employee, I think it is also better for the organization, because organization could identify this type of employees are working with our goals and he is the suitable, and if he is not suitable we will provide some type of the training and some type other skill development in the our employee, so that he could be also competent for the development of our organization and also self development of employee also.
Right. Thank you so much, Hussein, sir. So, very rightly shared by both of you. It should be focusing on intrapersonal and interpersonal development of the individual. Soft skills development should be also one of the goals. And it should emphasize on fostering creativity and innovation, because I hope you do understand the way things are changing at the pace in this particular era. If we don't foster creativity and innovation, we'll not be able to bring in changes in our particular systems also. So it should also encourage collaboration and effective communication, because in most of our particular discussions we talked about conveying the KPTs to the employees. That makes a lot of difference when we when we talk about appraising an employee based on their performance. And it should also help in improving cultural fitment skills. And lastly, the developmental plans should be aligned with the organization goals. So these are some of the goals of performance appraisal system. So this is all from my side on this performance appraisal system. Over to you, Dhamija sir.